Today we're talking about claiming your podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Now, this is one of those things that many podcasters think their hosting platform has already taken care of. But claiming your podcast is what gives you access to all the data and tools that help you grow your show. I'm going to tell you why you should do it and how to do it. Welcome to Podcast Strategy That Brings in Clients. I'm your host, Laura McRae, podcast producer and content strategist. If you want your podcast to bring in leads, build trust and support your business, you're in the right place. Because smart content starts with your podcast, but it doesn't stop there. You might have noticed that when you set up your podcast, your hosting platform lets you distribute your show to Apple, Spotify and everywhere else with just one click. This used to be tricky, getting your podcast on all the players, but now it's easier than ever. Which is great. It means your show's out there and available for people to listen to everywhere. But just because your podcast is available on Apple and Spotify, it doesn't mean you've claimed it. So when you claim your podcast, this gives you access to analytics, audience insight, and engagement features. Without claiming your podcast on Apple and Spotify, you're basically podcasting blind. To claim your podcast on Apple, go to podcastconnect.apple.com. Sign in with an Apple ID or create one if you don't have one. If your podcast doesn't appear automatically, choose Add Show and paste your RSS feed from your hosting platform. Apple will then verify you as the owner, usually via the email tied to your hosting account. Then, once your podcast is claimed, you'll get Apple Podcast Analytics, which include follower numbers, unique listeners, episode performance over time, and my favourite, which is consumption rate. So consumption rate tells you how much of an episode your audience listens to. This is so important for understanding whether your episodes are the right length, the right structure, and if you got the right content. Next up, let's talk about claiming your show on Spotify. So go to creators.spotify.com. Click on Podcasters and then claim your podcast. Again, you'll need to claim your show by putting in your RSS feed. Then once you've claimed your show, you'll get access to data like plays, which is the same as downloads, unique listeners, follower numbers, audience demographics, where people are listening from, and episode retention graphs. So it tells you where listeners are dropping off. Another great thing about claiming your show on Spotify is that you get to do Q&As and polls, so you can ask unique questions for individual episodes, and your listeners can comment or answer these questions within each episode. So it's a great way to get audience engagement and build some great connection and loyalty with your audience. And also by claiming your show on Spotify, this gives you the opportunity, should you want to put video content on Spotify, you can upload your videos to Spotify through your Spotify account. So by having all this extra data, you can see which episodes your audience loves and make more content like that. It also helps you understand which calls to action work because you can put in these polls and questions and see what people like engaging with. And they help you make decisions based on real listener behaviour. Plus, if you're ever pitching yourself as a podcast guest, or pitching guests to be on your show, or even partnering with brands, having this data makes you look professional and credible. So, if you haven't done it already, claim your podcast on Apple Podcast Connect, and also claim it on Spotify for Creators. It only takes about 10 minutes and you'll instantly have access to better statistics, which means stronger episodes, better growth, and a more engaged audience. When I set up podcasts for my clients, I always claim their shows on Apple and Spotify straight away. That way we can see their analytics instantly. Hosting platforms are great, but they don't have all the data you need. You get so much more on Apple and Spotify too, which will help you make more valuable content and in turn grow your show and get in the ears of your ideal listener. If you found this helpful, send me a message on Instagram at podcast.support.services. I love hearing what's working for you. And if you want supporting or launching your podcast, you can find out all the ways to work with me at podcastsupportservices.com.au. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. This episode is brought to you by Podcast Support Services, podcast strategy that attracts leads, clients, and credibility. Are you looking for a podcast producer? We may have availability. Head to podcastsupportservices.com.au.